Hi guys, it's Chef Howard. Welcome to our cooking segment today. What we're gonna do is, since the Super Bowl's tomorrow, I thought it'd be a really great idea if we kind of made some fun Super Bowl snacks for you guys. One of my favorite Super Bowl snacks happens to be nachos. And what we're gonna do is we are actually gonna make our nachos, and instead of using chips, we're actually gonna use red pepper. We're gonna turn them into like little nacho party boats, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work on getting our veggies cut up. So I've got a couple of peppers. You can pick whatever color you want. I've got 2 red, I've got a yellow. And we're gonna take some of these, and we're gonna actually take our red ones, and these are what we're gonna use to make our boats. And the yellow one we're gonna chop, and then we're gonna put into our meat mixture. So the first thing we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna need to make our little boats out of our peppers. So we're gonna start to cut, and the way to cut, remember, is that we're gonna take our 3 fingers, and we're gonna put them, wrap them around the blade of the handle of our knife. And then we're gonna take our thumb and our pointer finger, and we're gonna pinch the knife. And that way we've got a nice firm grip on our knife, so we'll be able to do all of our chopping. And then that other hand that we have, we're gonna bring our fingers back, and we're gonna hold our food with our fingertips. And so all we're gonna do is we're gonna start by slicing through our peppers. So I'm gonna slice through one, and I'm gonna slice through the other one. And now we just wanna go ahead and get some of these cores out. So I'm just gonna take my knife, and actually, instead of that, I'm actually just gonna cut it one more time in half. So that way we've kind of got our boat shape, exactly. And then real carefully, we are gonna cut our membranes out of our pepper. And we're just gonna kind of pick all the seeds, give it a little shake, and get everything out. And then we're gonna do the same thing. And some of these things, you don't even need to use your knife. You just use your fingers. Gonna seed that out. And then we are going to kind of cut a couple more of those membranes out. And your pepper strips are gonna look like this, our pepper boats. And so we're gonna take these, and they're gonna go on to our baking sheet, and we're gonna come back to those once we get our filling done. So I'm gonna make the rest of our pepper boats right now. So I'm gonna cut this one in half. I'm gonna cut it out. Rip out all these membranes, all that white stuff, all those seeds we wanna get rid of. So we got this one ready to go. Do the same thing to this one. We're gonna rip that core out. Gonna pick out some of those membranes, get rid of as many of those seeds as we can. Get that on, ready to go. And then we've got our last 2. So we're gonna cut that, and we're gonna just like that. We've got our pepper boats ready to go, and then we're gonna just leave those on our cookie sheet ready to go. And while we do that, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna chop some peppers and chop some onions for our turkey mixture that we're about to get started. So we're gonna start with our pepper, and I'm just gonna take it and I'm gonna run my knife down each side of the pepper. And we're gonna cut it into some strips. And now we're gonna do what's called dicing. And so we're just gonna take those strips, we're gonna cut those strips into little cubes, and that's called a dice. So that way we have some diced pepper right there. That's gonna go into our meat filling. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna dice our onion. And to dice our onion, remember we've got a top end and we've got a root end. And that root end we always wanna keep on, because that's what's gonna help us keep our onion together. So we're gonna take our knife, and we're gonna cut it right through the middle. And from there, we're gonna take that top end, we're gonna cut the top end off of each side. And then we're gonna peel our onion. And we're gonna start to dice it. And to dice our onion, we're gonna take our knife, and we wanna start making slices in the onion, but we don't wanna go all the way through that root end. So where we can kind of almost pull it apart. So we're gonna keep going down one side of the onion, and then we're gonna go down the other side of the onion. And then once we make those slices, we're gonna turn it and slice again. And that way we have some diced onion to go into our turkey mixture. From here, we're gonna bring this over to the stove and we're gonna start working on our meat filling that's gonna go inside our taco boats. Okay, so now that we're over here on the stove, we're gonna get our pan turned on about medium-high heat. And we're gonna take about a tablespoon or so of olive oil, to kind of drizzle it on the bottom of the pan. And from here, we're gonna add those peppers and onions that we just chopped up. So we're gonna add those. And then, a lot of people put ground beef in it. We're actually gonna use some lean ground turkey. So I've got about 3/4 to a pound. And we're gonna put that in, and we're gonna let this cook. And you're gonna start to hear it sizzle in a minute. And once it starts sizzling, we either wanna take like a spatula or anything you really have, and we wanna start breaking our meat apart. So I'm actually gonna use our pancake spatula right here. So this has been going for about 7 minutes right now, and you guys can see that most of my turkey meat is actually nice and no longer pink. We're gonna let it go for another couple of minutes, but we just want it to get a little darker in color. But you can see the peppers and the onions are starting to cook. And that meat's getting nice and brown, which is exactly what we're looking for. Okay, so our meat's been browning, and you can see here that it's nice and ready, and we're ready to go on to our next steps. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add the rest of our ingredients. So my secret to making any good Mexican food is I actually use a can of diced green chilies. These are mild, so they're not too spicy, but they're gonna give it some really good flavor. So we're gonna add a whole can of those in. And then we're gonna add some of our spices. So we've got some salt, we've got some garlic powder, we have oregano, we have chili powder, paprika, cumin, and a little bit of black pepper. And we're gonna add all of our spices in. We're gonna give this a mix, and I'm actually gonna switch over to spatula so I can kind of get this all mixed in. So we're gonna mix that up for about a minute. And when that's done, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add some salsa. Just some store salsa. Just check the labels before. Sometimes they actually put sugar in them, which is really weird, but they do actually put sugars in them. But this one I checked, no added sugar. So we're gonna dump that in, and we're gonna give this a mix. I think this is like a 97% fat-free turkey. There was no grease, so I was actually able to add everything. So just check it. So if it looks a little wet, you can drain it, and then add all of your ingredients in. So I'm gonna stir our salsa in. And now I'm gonna turn this down to about a medium low. I'm gonna let this cook for about 5 to 10 more minutes. Just let it simmer a little bit. That way the turkey finishes cooking, and then when it's done, we'll be able to stuff our nacho pepper boats, which will be great. Okay, so this has been simmering for about 5 to 10 minutes, and right now we're ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn our stove off, and we're very carefully, we are going to bring this over to our pepper boats that we already have ready. And I'm actually going to grab a spoon, but we're just going to take our spoon, and we are going to spoon some of this ground turkey mixture. And if a little bit falls off, that's fine, not a big deal. See? Or you can just totally miss the boat, and that's okay too. So we're gonna spoon some of our turkey mixture in. And each one of these is probably taking a good heaping tablespoon of filling. And honestly, I'll probably go back with a little bit more and probably add a little bit more. Now that I got the first round of filling in, I'm gonna kind of go back. I'm gonna just take just a little bit and just really kind of mound it up on the ones that I can. So we have lots of great nacho filling for our taco boats. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're actually gonna put on some shredded cheese. And I've actually picked out a low-fat cheese. When you go to the store, the best thing to look for is you'll see ones that say made with 2% milk. And that's the sign that it's a low-fat cheese. And whenever you buy low-fat cheese, my trick is to always buy it in block form and then shred it yourself, because it's actually gonna melt better because it doesn't have any caking agent or anything on it designed to keep the cheese shreds separate. And we're only gonna need a cup of this. So you really just wanna put just a little bit of cheese on each one. Just enough to kind of give it a little bit of a cheesy flavor and kind of get that melted cheese so it looks like nacho. And then what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this and we're gonna go over to our oven and we're gonna slide this in our oven. We already preheated the getting to 375 degrees. We're gonna put this in, and this is gonna cook for about 10 minutes or until the cheese is melted. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and check them. We're gonna open them up and you can see they're nice. The cheese is melted. Peppers are gotten warm, which is perfect, and that's exactly what we're looking for. All we're gonna do is we are going to pick one up. We're gonna put it on our plate. And then we're gonna garnish it. Instead of using sour cream, I've got a little bit of non-fat Greek yogurt. And so we're just gonna put a little dollop of Greek yogurt on the top of it. So I'm gonna take some cilantro just to make it look a little pretty. We're just gonna take a couple of cilantro leaves. We're gonna garnish it right on the top, and that way we've got some nice freshness for it. So there you go, just like that, we've got a great game day snack for the Super Bowl tomorrow. We've got your very own nacho bites. I hope you guys try this. Thanks so much for cooking with me, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Thanks a lot.